What's good? What's sizzling? It is your favorite straight creative Sholay signing in for another video. Welcome back. How y'all doing? Honestly, look at this channel. Look at this growth that we are seeing. Honestly, I thank you guys so much. Like, we are reaching new heights and new levels each and every day, and as much as I'm the one who's making these videos and everything, I get inspo from you guys. I am reaching new heights because of y'all and of course Christ Jesus. So honestly, I just want to say thank you guys so very much. Thank you. And also thank you guys so much for engaging on my Instagram challenge. If you don't already know what I'm talking about, essentially on my Instagram before each and every video, I give everyone a chance to win some money from me by either guessing the topic of conversation on a blurred out thumbnail pic or guessing the sound or any question that I add towards a snippet to a video. And if you're the first one to DM me your answer, you get a chance to win $20, $50, $100, as much as the Lord is willing to bless my pockets. So I will give to you guys. So be sure to check out my Instagram down below. Operation Care for the Homeless is a community outreach event I'll be hosting in downtown Edmonton on April 1st, 2023, where we'll be handing out care packages and sandwiches to the homeless in our community. If you are interested in volunteering, please check out the volunteer form down below. And if you're interested in donating any kind of money at all, please check out my PayPal and put in the description what it is for. And I pray that God blesses you guys as you go ahead and check out the volunteer forms, check out the donation link, and also being able to support by coming through to this event. I believe a plethora of people can relate to me when I say that music means the world to me. I hold it so dearly to my heart. And especially as an African, specifically West African, Afrobeats is my little baby. I've seen it grow up and change and transform in so many ways and receive global recognition just simply being based on cultural significance in our love for our country, our continent, and resilience. But I've got to say that times are changing and Afrobeats is not the same way it used to be. And I don't know if that's a problem yet. I don't know if that's a problem yet. Afrobeat turning into Afrobeats really lost this essence of social activism, standing up for the people, causing social unrest, making sure the government knows that they will not receive peace until we get what we deserve in this land. However, it's changed to, we talk about titties, we talk about booty, we talk about money, we talk about sex, we talk about everything else that's just ungodly. And we see that one of the biggest culprits for this so-called performative activism that is just bred all throughout Afrobeats, the self-proclaimed African giant, Burna Boy. Like, I'm not understanding that title. Do your job. Do your job in being the African giant. Why are you calling yourself that and you're not doing really anything? Anyways, so let me stop. But before we jump into that, let us get into the evolution of Afrobeats, then turning into Afrobeats, some of the culprits in the game for changing Afrobeats from being what it truly is to the core, and can we possibly find a better African giant to do the job? If there is an African giant, to be quite honest, hey, I don't know, but join me on this ride. And just a little FYI about this whole conversation on Afrobeat and where it's from and who created it and everything like that, okay? Number one, yes, there are some American influences, such as American jazz, thanks to James Brown, okay? But Americans, Black Americans, did not create it in its entirety, all right? Okay, because I find that whenever Africans come up with certain concepts and things that are now mainstream, people want to start nitpicking and ripping it apart and saying, oh yeah, we did this and we did that. No, it's based in Africa, Nigeria, all right? All right, let's get that through our heads. I know you might want to be a part of a bigger thing, but it's better to just be an observer and understand the concepts as we go along. And secondly, Afrobeat was already starting up before Fela Kuti went ahead to pioneer the genre. Okay, that is why he's called the father of Afrobeat, because yes, something can be created, but if someone is pushing it forth in such a way that makes it mainstream, that becomes the building blocks, the foundation for another genre to jump out of it, then therefore he's given that label. All right, before people want to start ripping my head in the comments and be like, no, Fela Kuti didn't do this, and Afrobeat in it, like, please don't go and don't start it with me. I'm not the one. Okay, I'm simply just delivering a message and starting a conversation. But yeah. The evolution of Afrobeat begins with a man who was born in October 15th, 1938 in Abeokuta named Olufela Olusegun Oludotun Ransom Kuti, better known as Fela. He was born in a somewhat wealthy family, and his mother, Olufumilayo Ransom Kuti, was a notable feminist in Nigeria, and she was said to be the first Nigerian woman to drive a car, as well as her husband named Reverend Israel Ransom Kuti, who was the principal of Abeokuta Grammar School. Tell me why nobody told me that Wale Soyinka and Fela were literally first cousins. And for those who don't know who he is, he's essentially a big literature giant in Nigeria who's known for his novels, his essays, his screenplays, and his poems. He has also won a Nobel Prize on Literature and received many awards for his work over the years. Fela learned his political ideologies from his mother and coined out a doctrine that people could say to this very day he lived by all throughout his life. And it was, the secret of life is to have no fear, despite the consequences that might be before you. His introduction to music was thanks to his father, who encouraged him to play piano, as his father grasps the understanding that studying music is an integral part to good education. Around that time as well, in 1946, his mother became the president of the Abeokuta Women Union, AWU, where she was campaigning to enhance the trading rights of market women in Abeokuta. A pivotal shift that happened in Fela's life was when he visited Lagos in 1954, where he met the man better known as JK, who became his best friend over the years and introduced him to the Lagos music scene. Based on the musical climate that was influenced by Olaiya and American jazz in the clubs, Mr. Fela took on trumpet to add dynamics to his own sound. His parents had high hopes of him becoming a doctor, but his passion for music pushed him to go to Trinity College of Music. Funny enough, my G actually failed his music theory paper exam to get into the school. However, thanks to the mercy of the college principal seeing his immense talent and the fact that he traveled all the way from Nigeria to London to go to the school, he was able to still enroll in this college and be able to do his exam later on. 1959 was the year that we saw Fela form his first group, the High Life Rackers, but then later disbanded in 1960 and came back up again with Kula Kabitos that had a strong band of West African and Caribbean musicians, with his friend JK as a guitarist, where they were playing at clubs that were famous and popular in London black scenes and in quiet functions. Fela later graduated with a couple kids from his first wife, Remileko, and from then on, we began to see the artist blossom from gaining new members in his band, Tony Allen, the second edition of his band, becoming popular in Lagos music scenes, recording a live album, and going on a 10-month tour in the US, and then coming out with an array of albums. This man was an artist that could be described as a man of the people and a true daredevil to life with his many scandalous endeavors. He later died in 1997 and left behind a genre that would later be recognized as such a people-driven sound that spoke out on the issues of the land and had those who heard it wanting justice and reform. Some could say that social activism is the backbone of Afrobeats, whereas for Afrobeats, it took the backstage. We see Afrobeats go ahead to take the main stage on a global scale when MTV Base Africa in 2005 began to give wind to new artists at the time. Getting into the 2010s, where we see artists start to receive accolades across the continent. from P Square in 2011 with The Invasion, and them being signed to Akon's music label, to Oliver Twist by D'banj in 2012, marking the first Afrobeats artist to score a UK top 10 single, coming at number 9, Fuse ODG with Antenna Azonto and Million Pound Girl in 2013, ranking in mainstream UK radio with top 10 singles. Wizkid's Ojueleba in 2014 was the track of the year, which ended up getting remixed by Drake and Skepta and got boosted in the UK. Around that time in the UK, we started to see the offsprings of Afrobeats with the likes of NSG and J Hus, who was a notable member of sparking Afro Swing, which was a fusion of rap, grime, dancehall, trap, and R&B. Moving to 2016 and onwards, some of our favorite Afrobeats artists began to work with mainstream artists in America, starting with Wizkid, Drake, and Kyla with One Dance, gaining over 1 billion streams on Spotify. In 2020, Beyonce came out with the album The Gift, which featured an array of amazing talent that showcased Africa as a whole, with people like Tiwa Savage, Shatta Wale, Yemi Alade, Mr. Easy, Techno, and last but certainly not least, Burna Boy. And please let us not forget that there were some songs that came out during the 2010s, even 2020s, that shaped Afrobeats forever, but they did not receive the global recognition that they deserved. But we as the people were bumping it at every wedding, at every house party, and at every cookout. Like, best believe that. Be sure to comment some of your fave Afrobeat songs in the 2010s and even in 2020s that really like stamped the mark for Afrobeats forever. For me, like, money fall on you, banana fall on you, money fall on you, 'cause I'm in love with you, yeah. Are you done talking? Oh, and she know one designer, she know one Ferrari, she said I love her. Honestly, I'm telling you, we were bumping those songs like they were on rotation all the time. And Olamide, we gotta give love to Olamide. I don't feel like he gets enough love for what he's done. Naira Marley, he was a moment. He was like Ashake, but like in 2010s, but more vulgar and everything, to be quite frank with you. But yeah, Naira Marley was that guy. Like, there were so many amazing songs. But if I missed any, please let me know down below. Since we've gone over the evolution of Afrobeat/Afrobeats, let us get into one of the players who's responsible for the globalization of Afrobeats in the last 10 years, the self-proclaimed African giant, Burna Boy. Damini Ebuoluwa Ogulu, better known as Burna Boy, was born in Port Harcourt, River State on July 2nd, 1991, and he started making music as early as 10 years old, which later stuck to him as he rose to fame with the releasing of Like to Party as his lead single from his debut album, Life. Over time, people started to liken Burna Boy to Fela from the way he would go ahead to speak about the state of Nigeria and express his care for his people. And on top of that, this man would just jump on stage with just simple trousers. Like, I'm sorry. Let us also note the fact that Burna Boy's grandfather was Fela's manager back in the day. And his mom was one of Fela's dancers. So then now my question is, can we say that Burna Boy is a Nepo baby? Like, you know how like Americans go ahead and talk about Nepo babies and how they have such disgust for them and stuff like that, or talk about the fact that the only reason why they only made it was because of their parents. In this situation, can we say that Burna Boy is a Nepo baby, yes or no? And I'm kind of a question mark, because yes, he was born into wealth and he was born into music royalty in some kind of way. But at the same time, like, in order for you to be recognized as an African artist, as a Nigerian artist, you have to grind. Like, there's a certain level of grind that is more when it's your own people. You know what I mean? Like, Nigerians expect so much from Nigerians all the time. So it's not that easy for you to just penetrate into the market just like that. Like, you had to like go through the motions. Like, we saw Burna Boy back in those days when he wasn't always fresh, okay? He wasn't always Burna Boy. It took time for him to mature to be the person that he is. And that's why lots of people love him as a performer he is now. So I don't know. I'm kind of half and half, but let me know what you think down below. When it comes to this conversation of Burna Boy being the self-proclaimed African giant and whether or not he's able to claim that title, I would have to say it's giving performative activism. As I've made a video about this before, of American artists going ahead to perform performative activism in their so-called music. But I tend to be a little bit more lenient for my people, because I understand that it's very difficult at times for us to constantly digest the state of our country and see how it is deteriorating before our very eyes. And it is really easy and comfortable for us to go ahead and talk about our plights and our problems. But when you come from a place of privilege and you're not really in the issue and problem, and you're just speaking out on it, and you're making it sound sweet and nice to the masses, and you now use the cries of Nigerians and their plight as some kind of driving tool, marketing tool to garner some kind of attention and grace from the people, and then now receive global attention from what you're doing, but you ain't actually doing anything, it becomes a problem. Like, are you really here for your people, or are you just here to collect their checks, to collect their money, to collect their adoration of you? Who knows? Because it doesn't make sense to me personally how one can go ahead and talk about the issues that happen in Nigeria and talk about the care that they have for their people, but then treat their people horribly when it comes to the concerts they're holding in their home country. Like, how are you showing up like almost 4, 5, 6 hours late, and then go ahead and still disrespect the people who are coming out to see you, spending their hard-earned money? Like, I'm not here to say that he's not a good performer. He is. He's an amazing performer. I actually went to go see him and he was amazing, but he's simply a performer. That's all he is. He's performing. He's not an activist. That's it. As much as I want to say people shouldn't expect so much from him, I can't blame people, because nowadays our role models or people that we expect to speak up for us or help us in some kind of way are usually artists. People who are just doing their job just to make money and get by. That's it. And we expect them to stand up for us and be the voices of reason in the midst of chaos, when that's not possible. We can't hold people to this standard that makes no sense. Like, the people that are supposed to be taking care of the country are the officials and the government. I mean, us as a community, we can do lots of stuff as well, but it's really on the government to try to fix things, to be honest. It's safe to say that this man is not the person that we thought he would be, or the person that he has proclaimed himself to be. Because really and truly, he's all talk, but he's not really about that life. And that's okay. That's totally fine. I understand. It's cool to have alter egos and to be that person for the people and to stand strong and stand tall. But to repeatedly talk about political issues and problems and go ahead to look like you're standing for your people, but then at the same time be tweeting out, I stand for my people in a $3 million household, but actually not doing anything to support your people in their time of trouble and grief, makes no sense at all. See, the thing is, I'm not trying to make this a Burna Boy hate train video, okay? Because he's not the only culprit who's responsible for going ahead to use social activism as a way to push for sales and numbers, because many Afrobeats artists have gone ahead to do this over the years. He's just the one who has made it the biggest out of all of them. So it's easier for you to see more of the lines of discrepancies through his artistry. An issue that I'm starting to see creep to the surface when it comes to Afrobeat artists is the need to become mainstream by inviting Western mainstream artists into our spaces and create music with them. Please stop it, you don't need it. You didn't need them to blow up in the first place. Stop trying to cater to a Western audience and stick to your core audience. I promise you, that's all you need. That is all you need. Okay? You don't need to start collabing with every Tom, Dick, and Harry just because you're trying to appease to a larger audience. Because I'm telling you, the minute that you do something that they don't like, they will chew you up and spit you out. And then you'll still come back to the audience that still cared for you in the very beginning, in your humble beginnings, okay? One thing we don't need to deal with is the westernization of Afrobeats, because it's going to happen if we continue to allow Western artists to come and make music with us and we start showing them the things that we do and everything like that. Very soon you'll now have some Onyibo person with braids now start winning accolades and all sorts of awards for doing Afrobeats. But you see, I trust my people. It's not possible. There's no way it could possibly happen, okay? Because you see, when it comes to determining what is Afrobeats, yeah, we don't need old Oyibo people going ahead to make those calls for us. It's the people who are in the culture who make those calls for us, okay? Yeah. You can go ahead and copy our beats, our sounds, even our lingo, but you cannot copy our essence. You can't duplicate what makes us, okay? Stay in your lane humbly, all right, and let us do our thing. So if Burna Boy is not the real African giant, then who is? And the long short answer to that is nobody. There's no real African giant. Putting that much pressure on one person is insane, to say none the least, but it is important for us to go ahead and hold accountable these artists that go ahead to use people's cries as a way to market their music, as a way to garner attention and everything like that. We need to go ahead and take them off these extremely high pedestals that we've put them on and treat them as performers, artists that they are. They're still human beings and they still deserve grace. I'm not here to bash any one of them, but at the same time, correction is needed in order to improve in the future. There is a need to acknowledge those who have put their blood, sweat, and tears in the streets, helping their people and in their music. And one of my faves is Fal's the Bad Guy. He is a lawyer turned musician and also was active during the EndSARS movement by really trying to be there for his people and speak out on the issues that were happening to them with the people. Ain't nobody need to beg him to enter the streets to do anything. He's already there before you ask, okay? But this social activism thing is beyond the internet, beyond music. And it takes more than one person to actually keep the fight going. We can't just continue to scream and shout and protest and then have nothing happening in the aftermath that's actually building blocks towards true freedom and progression in our societies, in our communities, and in our homes. Structures need to be put in place in order to keep the fire burning, whether it's talking to officials and creating community initiatives, community programs, doing things to feed and help the community in such ways that have the next generation doing the same thing, and hopefully we would truly see true freedom, especially in places like Nigeria. That is my home. I know I am Canadian by birth, but the blood that runs through my veins is 100% Nigerian. I would hope so. I'm not checking Ancestry.com to tell me that I am like 1/4 British, because I don't have the energy for that. But I truly believe that when it comes to the issues back home, it affects me just like it affects everyone else who has Nigerian ancestry. And trust me, it's not going to be easy, but at least it is indeed worth a try. All right, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the question of the day, all right, is what is your favorite Afrobeat song of all time? I don't know if I have one. I honestly don't know if I have one. Back in the day, Brymo, Femi, oh my goodness, I was absolutely obsessed with Brymo. Brymo was my go-to. But yeah, Femi was probably my favorite for a long time. And then I would say Olufumi by Style Plus. Yes, 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 yes. It's amazing. I know this is controversial, but African Giant is also one of my favorite songs. African Giant is amazing, okay? I like I said, I like him as a performer, not as an activist, so let's keep it that way. All right, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And remember, God made you special and he loves you very much, and you can do anything you set your mind to, with Christ, of course. All right, y'all, peace.
You know what I'm talking about? Bring it back.